Hello and welcome. Today, I'm joined by Rusten Hurd, a partner at Columba and Hurd. His firm has achieved what most managing partners only dream of, scaling from a small 3-person team to over 400 members globally. They are a powerhouse in high-skilled immigration, helping the best and brightest professionals and investors secure their future in the US. We are going to dive into the exact moment Rusten decided to niche down and how that fueled their massive growth. Rusten, welcome to the Growth Switch.
Glad to be with you, Alex. Thank you.
Can you take us back to the humble beginnings when you were a much smaller team? What was the motivator to grow and expand at that point?
Absolutely. So it'll be 20 years this October, which is pretty exciting for us. But yeah, my partner Carlos and I were both partners at a mid-sized law firm here in Central Florida, and we really had a desire to grow and to do something different. And so we formed this firm really with a desire to do immigration work, to help immigration those interested in finding immigration success. And so it was really different. Carlos had done immigration, but focused on commercial litigation as well. I handled insurance defense for the first 8 or 9 years. And so it was just a completely different area. Starting the firm, obviously, a big challenge, but it was a really exciting opportunity for us to get to really help people, help individuals, which is something we both felt really excited about and something that really motivated us both. So yeah, those were definitely different times 20 years ago.
For sure, for sure. I think those that are in the know in the immigration world, they will relate. For our colleagues outside of that, immigration is known for having changes to the law and regulations all the time, which can be quite volatile when you grow in your practice. How did you navigate those challenges early on?
Yeah, it absolutely has continued to be a challenge through today, no question about it, because through, back then, the changes that were taking place back in 1996, we thought, wow, these are the most significant, 2006, most significant sweeping changes we've seen. But that was nothing
Mhm.
based on what's to come. Yeah, it's one of those things where you have to continue to stay abreast of the changes, not just in the law, not just in the regulations, but in the interpretation of those regulations, which with new administrations, with different policies, different goals, can change dramatically. I mean, back in those days, the H-1B cap for professionals wouldn't even be filled. There are 85,000 slots, and there were many years we didn't even get to that.
Mm.
You look back the last few years, and there were 5 or 6 times as many applicants as slots available for high skilled professionals. So the changes we've seen today are so amazing relative to looking back 20 years, where it was just a completely different world, where certainly the level of immigration was not in the same place it is today.
You mentioned that it's always wonderful to work with clients when you help them change their life and move the country. And with all of those changes, you really stay in touch with them longer than some other attorneys when they work on the cases that are more project-based and something more short-term. How did you structure the relationships and the way you communicate in the early days because of that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The relationships you form with clients in this field, it maybe is different. I'm sure every lawyer makes a great connection with their clients, but I know for me, one of the first clients that I worked with, it was a Colombian judge who had been shot in Colombia and actually had been denied asylum in the United States. And we appealed her case, and I wrote the appeal, and we were able to win successfully. And she was granted asylum, eventually obtained a green card, and then subsequently eventually obtained citizenship. And this process happened over many years. And it was a beautiful family, and it was just a wonderful experience to go through to be able to achieve that result. Again, this was many, many years ago now, but still in touch with the family these days. And it's just, it is a life-changing experience.
Mhm.
Today, we work primarily exclusively with high skilled professionals as we have for the last decade or so. But still, the ability to really have a significant impact on the lives of people and amazing people is quite a personal reward, and it's
Mhm.
something where they feel it and we feel it as the attorney representing them. So it is something that sticks with you, definitely.
Absolutely. You mentioned that you came from the mid-sized law firm when you and your partner formed your firm. What are some of the challenges early on that, on a personal level, it's very rewarding work. You get to help those individuals. But in the sense of the business of law, what were the challenges going through from mid-sized law firm into your own practice and growing that in the early days?
It was a massive challenge. And I think that's what maybe, at least for myself, and I had been practicing for 8.5 years or so at the time, I had no idea what was involved with the business of law whatsoever. Everything at my old firm was done for me, of course. All I had to do was practice law. And what I found out was, okay, there is so much more required. And I mean, I think maybe half of my time was spent practicing law in those first few years because obviously getting everything set up, we didn't have anything in terms of support. It was just us. And it was incredible to me how many other things were out there that we needed to ensure was taken care of, from managing a trust account to setting up any kind of marketing setup to hiring individuals, etc. I mean, there's just so much associated with running a law firm that certainly isn't taught in law school, and I didn't learn in almost the first decade of my practice. So
Mm.
it was a massive challenge. And those first couple years as part of the firm, fortunately, we were able to bring in some amazing people that some of which are still with us today, and that was really helpful to have good people around you. But boy, you're right, that was just a huge challenge at first.
What does your time split look like now? You mentioned it was about 50-50 in the earlier days. Now that the firm is obviously significantly larger, what does the split look like?
Yeah, these days, my role with the firm, now that we've grown to over 400 individuals on our team, is a lot different. I still do have some clients and a few cases, but primarily my role these days is to help to manage the practice at the law firm and to work with the various teams to achieve success for our clients. I do oversee some of the legal work, but primarily my work is on the side of the business of law, which I really enjoy because it allows us to help more people at scale. Now, over the last 20 years, that hasn't been the same. For many parts of that, I was almost 100% of my time was practicing law, which was great too.
Hmm.
But yes, since we have scaled up, especially over the last 6 years, mainly I work overseeing the business side.
The reason I wanted to ask that is because there are a lot of smaller firms that want to grow, but managing partners are often very heavily still involved in the practice of law. And I think because of that, that just puts the limit into how much things can be achieved in 24 hours. What do you think? Is it your personal preference, or what advice would you give to other managing partners that may be at the crossroads and they either need to bring somebody to help them manage the business side of things, or they need to step away from doing the cases and focus more on the business themselves?
I think that's a really good question, and I think it is a personal choice to a certain extent. But I think that you have to look at what makes sense in your situation. For my situation, I'm blessed to have been with a law partner now. We've worked together between this firm and the other for over 27 years, where we both really complement each other in terms of our skills. My partner has continued to practice law, has been really involved in that. He's a true visionary in that regard and a brilliant lawyer, and is really able to continue to work in that space. Whereas for me, although I certainly have enjoyed the practice of law, I also really enjoy helping with the individuals at the firm on the kind of the backroom side of things, working with that. And so that's really worked for me. So we've had that combination. I don't think it necessarily has to be another attorney, though.
Mhm.
Certainly, many lawyers and law firms are successful because they have a key individual. Maybe it's a CFO, or maybe it's just someone, firm administrator, et cetera, that they've worked with that they can continue to practice law, and someone can work more on the business side. But I definitely think, especially if you're a sole practitioner, that you really need to be able to devote a portion of your time to be able to work on that, really so that you can help more clients.
Mm.
Because if you are completely focused on the law, there's just no way that you're going to be able to pay attention to what is helping your firm grow to the extent that you'll be able to grow.
I think it's an excellent point, and attorneys that do want to help their clients in their chosen field, the bigger the firm, the more impact they can produce is one way. Of course, then there is also other way to contribute, whether it's writing the book on the topic or recording the videos. But obviously, having the freedom and resources to do that allows to make a bigger impact. Rustin, you mentioned C4 that played a role as well. What were non-attorney hires for you that marked kind of milestones in the progress of professionalizing the practice that maybe you can recommend for other firms as well?
Yeah, so I think there are multiple stages to that, certainly. I mean, when, early on, so one of the first hires we had back, I think it was 19 years ago or so, maybe a little longer ago than that, we hired a receptionist. She was a great receptionist. She's now part of the leadership of our firm over the course of 19 years. She's grown from that, role, important role, of course, a receptionist at a firm, especially at a very, very small firm, but she was able to develop really a skill set, and she leads now two different teams of the firm, overseeing I think 25 or 30 individuals herself. And so I do think that bringing in really solid, good people, maybe they don't have the experience in a certain way, but if they are skilled, willing to learn, willing to be loyal and commit, they really bringing them through and developing them to be able to benefit the firm in a way is huge. And then for us also, of course, as we grew beyond 100 and 200 individuals, then bringing in kind of a more sophisticated team that is able to assist us. We have recently, one of the hires we've had over the last few years is a chief information officer. Technology is something that's really important to us. It's how we're able to assist our clients and really leverage what they bring to be able to demonstrate to who we're filing with how strong their case is. And so really that technology component for us has been really big. I think certainly as we sit here in 2026, for really everyone being able to utilize technology in an effective way, both from an efficiency standpoint in terms of how your firm operates, but also in terms of an effectiveness standpoint, is going to be more and more important. And also, for us, ensuring that our finances are taken care of, that we're not having to worry about that on a daily basis. We have a CFO that is brilliant and excellent at his job in terms of managing that side of things. So we don't have to focus on that at all. And then, of course, I think everyone knows the last part of it, which is really strong attorneys. We have some additional partners leading different divisions at our firm that all are exceptional, both from a legal standpoint, but also in terms of a people standpoint. Because at the end of the day, it's how strong the people you bring in is how successful your firm is going to be.
100%. In professional services, people are absolutely everything, and that's the thing to focus on. Obviously, you had a very rapid expansion going from the original team to 400 members that you have right now. Was it a linear progression, or did you have a certain stages when you plateaued and then you had to solve something to unlock the next level of growth?
Yeah, that the latter is absolutely true in our case, no question about it. So we certainly explored different areas of immigration for years. We were a full service firm. We did kind of everything under the sun.
Hmm.
And then over time, we really gravitated more towards working with employment based immigration, high skilled professionals, and investors. And then, even more than that, we niched down really more specifically into self sponsored petitions, which we really started focusing on about 8 years ago now. We had done it before that, but really, the more we niched down into an area of specialty and really, really focused on that so that we were able to become truly, in my biased opinion, exceptional at the work, what we found was more and more clients looked to us for this particular area. And so we went from, probably before the pandemic at about 25 to 30 individuals to now over the last 6 or 7 years or so, expanding to that just with really rapid growth. And I think a lot of that is due to really finding this area of specialty that we really liked and we're really good at, and really focusing on that rather than trying to kind of do all the different parts of immigration. So for us, anyways, that was really one of the secrets to our success.
I love that piece of insight because I think it's comes counterintuitive to a lot of managing partners. It seems like, well, if you're niching down, there are less clients you can work with, but actually it's the opposite. It's true. You become better at providing the service. You get to be known for that service, and it actually works out quite well. somebody that has a mix of even within one field, they have a mix of clients, they have a mix of different cases they take on. What would you say is the process to find that ideal type of case or specialty within that to niche down for somebody that currently has a whole range of things that they have?
Boy, that's a really good question too. I wish I had an easy answer to that one. I think for us it was a lot of trial and see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Over the years, I personally did just about every type of immigration law under the sun. And as a firm, we did a lot of different things first before we just really found what seemed to fit the best. So I think every individual is going to be different than that. In our field, certainly in immigration, I know some practitioners that are just excellent at performing litigation,
Mm-hmm.
removal defense, going to deportation hearings and that type of work, which is very difficult work, especially these days. But some people just are really talented at it and really love it. And that's something they're going to specialize in. And that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
For us, it was something completely different, working with the best and the brightest around the world, which is what we do. And what we found really is something that connects with us and that we're really good at. So, but I don't know what the secret sauce is there to have allowed that to be the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for different folks, it's going to be something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it just takes a little bit of time and trying different aspects of the law. Maybe it's different legal practices. I mean, for the first several years of my life as a lawyer, I did insurance defense type work. So, and then that really wasn't for me. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a little bit of trial and error for everyone.
I think it's a good way to think about it because whenever something is attempted in business or in law, the first thing is not necessarily the best one. And it's good to be open minded and to have that feedback loop to see what works, what doesn't work. And then, of course, make changes if necessary based on that. With the history and success that you had right now, when you look at different initiatives, whether it's hiring, expanding the team, what are the main KPIs that you're looking for to do a health check on your team members, on the type of clients that you're working with? What are the top numbers that you have in mind?
Yeah. So at our firm, everything starts with two things really: our client success and our client experience. We're really focused on, we're a service-based business. All lawyers are in a service-based business. That's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole thing is, if we're not able to serve and provide a benefit to our clients, there's nothing more that we can do but focus on that. So we're really focused on kind of the quality of the work that we're producing. And as we continue to grow, what we have been fortunate enough to be able to do is in terms of looking at, hey, the quality of what is going out and is that getting better? Because in my mind, you're either getting better or getting worse. There's no kind of straight line that you're on. And so really looking to refine our processes, use technology, use the experience of some of the best attorneys in the country we've been able to bring in to benefit our clients. That's something we're looking at. If we're going to grow, we want to grow smart to be able to continue to improve our quality. And then secondarily, we track the experience of every client that works with us at multiple stages in the process. And we don't always get it right, but we try and get it right more and more as every year goes by. And so really getting deep, detailed feedback on from our clients, hey, what went right, what went wrong, what can we do better, what did you really like, and then finding ways to, of course, improve the things that we didn't get right and improve the things we're getting right too, and do those even better. Those are really the KPIs, the two primary KPIs that we look to in order to look to our growth. Obviously, as a firm, we have to be able to turn a profit to be able to continue to do this work for our clients. So certainly in terms of that, we have to ensure that we're being successful as a firm as well. Of course, that's important. It's a business, and we need to look at that as well. But honestly, having done this for nearly 3 decades now, for us, that's important. But it's probably not as important as ensuring the long-term success and the
Mm-hmm.
long-term ability to provide a benefit to individuals. What those numbers look like is short term. If you're delivering on client experience and quality, that's going to take care of itself.
Absolutely. And no matter how fast the business is growing, the word of mouth and reputation will never be not important and will always be fundamental. One of the interesting lessons that were shared from Amazon is when they look at the data and they look at sometimes at anecdotal evidence of the customer experiences, they famously said that anecdotal evidence is more important than the data. Of course, they track the data, but sometimes those individual experiences can provide, hidden wisdom and draw attention to something that needs to be improved. I believe you've helped over 2,500 families in last year alone across the members that you've worked with. What are some of the memorable anecdotal maybe cases of something that went well or maybe something that got complicated that instructed how you think about growing going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. We have helped, well, in the last, I think I'm not sure exactly, 12 years, something along those lines. We've helped over 10,000 individuals obtain green cards and 2,500 approvals in self-sponsored high-skilled professional
That's right.
petitions over the last 3 years. So yeah, we're really proud of those numbers, definitely. And so that is something that you're right, that is meaningful. But at the end of the day, it's the individual stories that really are compelling. So we have folks coming to us in so many different fields, whether it's STEM fields, a lot of times, technology, engineering, the sciences. But then we also have folks that are bringing different cultural experiences to the United States, or improving the U.S. in social aspects. One of the cases that sticks out, literally, we just got approved earlier this month,
Hmm.
was someone that works with Alzheimer's patients in their home country, and what they found was a way to help kind of lower income areas where they don't have as many opportunities for medical care, and they have a unique approach and systematic approach to be able to help these individuals there in their home country, and they're bringing that approach to the United States. And it's a really great opportunity to, obviously, it benefits them and their family when they're able to move here and obtain permanent residency in the United States, but also it's going to help so many in our country to be able to have that benefits. And we have so many clients with kind of similar stories. This one just sticks out because it's a
Hmm.
recent example. But the cool thing about what we do, or one of the cool things anyways, is it's not just even the client and their family that gets to feel this impact. It's also collectively, here in the United States, our country, that is also benefiting from what many of these folks bring. We have a lot of physicians that we've represented that are able to serve communities that maybe don't get the help that they need from physicians. We've also had research scientists who are on the cusp of making breakthroughs in various different aspects of research. And I mean, even we have someone that is a really unique folk singer that was bringing kind of a different type of cultural experience with the way that they have some folk singing and what they do with that here in the US. So it really runs the gambit of different individuals, but all of which are helping our country, helping the United States, while also allowing their families to benefit from the opportunity to move to the United States and make a new life here. So pretty cool anyway.
100%. I think that's very cool and of course rewarding for you and for the team. How are you capturing those stories and definitely success stories and that positive impact to continue growing and continue doing the work that you do to educate more potential immigrants about how they could be coming to the US and to grow the business at the same time as well?
Yeah. So it's interesting you gave that quote from Amazon about sometimes the anecdotal information is more powerful than the data. We have historically sent out a survey, hey, how things go, give us this, that, and the other. We've recently shifted to, with our clients, having someone meet with them
Mm.
after they file their case, after they get approved at different stages, so that we can actually get kind of individual feedback, where it's a real person talking to them and understanding, hey, what went well. And if a client really wants to share it, we are happy to talk to them about it and allow them that opportunity to share the information. So we have a number of hundreds now of testimonials from clients. We don't share those publicly a lot of the time. Some we have with obviously permission from our client and in compliance with the rules that we have. But a lot of those we are able to provide to individuals that are looking for something similar for them. So maybe they're a physicist, maybe they're a folk singer, maybe whatever they do, their background. Well, maybe that's something where, hey, we can show them someone else that's had success in a similar area. So we try to use them strategically. Some we have on our website or maybe other places, but we don't do that as much. It's more of a narrowly tailored approach with our client testimonials.
I think it's a great advice to more firms as well to consider doing that, because many professionals are afraid to ask in the first place because they feel the clients won't necessarily disclose their experience. But happy clients are usually happy to share quite often. And I think those are great opportunity as well to redefine the process if there is something that could be further improved, and that just helps everybody. Rustin, I'm sure that growing at the rate that you have is not just attributable to word of mouth and referrals alone. In the years that you operated, what have been the biggest unlocks when it came to actually driving new business for you?
Yeah, that's a great question, and you're absolutely right. Though I would say probably so much of our growth has come through referrals from existing clients. When you're able to scale up and have a lot of success, certainly in our area of work, our clients referring to their colleagues is definitely one of our top resources, and something that we're always glad to do is to work with our clients' friends or colleagues that they refer. But you're right, certainly we do have a marketing arm and team that works hard on giving the message out of what we're able to do to be able to help people. And no better way for us than video than to convey that message. So really, from our standpoint, one of the things that drove our growth, certainly looking back 6-7 years ago, is when we really started to lean into video. Certainly during the pandemic, that was significant. Before the pandemic, partner Carlos and I used to travel a lot more around the world to meet with interested potential immigrants to the United States. Obviously, that wasn't possible during the pandemic. And so video became the main pathway for any of that message to get out. And what we found was also kind of similar to niching down. We also, with that message going out on video rather than in a room of folks, we're able to convey that message or that opportunity to way more people than just the rooms would allow. And so yeah, it was a pretty significant change, and the use of video, I think, more than anything else, is something that helped us to grow.
Was it also your experience that once you had body of video content out there, the initial conversations you were having were of a better quality with more educated potential clients?
Absolutely. And I think being really strategic about how you use video, certainly. So one of the things and we don't actually use the webinars anymore. We have other setups that we use, but we did a weekly webinar, and then sometimes even a daily webinar that we provided to our clients, going through a lot of detailed information so that when they eventually would talk to the attorney, they already would have so much of the information they need to be able to make a decision and understand. Because of course, this type of immigration to the United States is not a simple process at all. It's a very complicated process. And so allowing them to have the detailed information to be able to process everything, and so we can make our conversation much more efficient and effective, was huge. So absolutely, using video to serve them in that way. And we still do it with our existing clients, with our clients, bringing them in, explaining things so that, hey, they can watch it. Hey, when we do a prep they're going to an interview at a U.S. consulate, we have a prep video that we go through so they can watch that, and then they're going to meet with the attorney afterwards, of course, to be able to prep them. But then sometimes they feel comfortable watching that 2 or 3 times first. So yeah, absolutely.
In my experience in immigration, a big part of growing, it's not just the relationship directly with clients, but also intermediaries, somebody that has access to potential clients and can make those introductions. And I think video is also another excellent tool to build those connections with intermediaries, because you can provide something valuable for free right away. And down the line, it could be a month, it could be a year from now, they have a conversation with the client and they can show you your video, and somebody gets interested and then connects you. Your team gets connected to a potential client that way. Has that also been your experience?
I've definitely heard that a lot. I would say for us, we haven't had that much experience with using intermediaries. That hasn't been something that has been a focus of ours. Instead, it's really been, although certainly we're very happy to have folks recommend us that are familiar with our services because maybe we've assisted their friends or family members or colleagues. But actually, it isn't something that we have focused on or worked with. Typically, it's been just direct through whether it's a client or whether it's a video or something written that we've provided. Those are the things that we found works for us.
Makes sense. When it comes to the things that you want to achieve with business growth in 2026, what are the big goals that you've set for yourself and for the firm?
Yeah, for us, it has been continuing to grow. We're looking definitely at continuing to grow this year by a decent margin. We feel very fortunate over the last few months that we have started a new federal litigation practice here. We have two practitioners, and we're probably adding another that is focused on the litigation of immigration cases in federal courts, which has been really exciting for us as another way to defend our clients' interests and promote their interests moving forward. So that's been one area of growth for us. And then we've been fortunate to continue to receive some success as well across our different practice areas, even though certainly there are some headwinds in some of U.S. immigration that everyone is familiar with these days. We also, the past couple months, we've had more clients' families approved in domestically through a domestic process of obtaining green cards than we've had in any 2 month period over the last couple of years. So that's been really exciting as well for us. And so finding different avenues to achieve success for our clients, finding strategic ways that we can utilize the system as it exists to still obtain approvals for our clients and success for our clients in different ways. It's been a challenge, no question about it, but it's also been something that we're really happy with, and it's allowed us to continue to grow. We brought on actually 4 new attorneys in the last month and a half and a number of new team members. It's been really exciting to have that opportunity.
Good things ahead. That's very exciting. If somebody wants to know more about the work that you do and maybe they're curious about immigration routes available for them, where can they learn more online?
Yeah, so our website is a great resource for that. It's at colombohurdlaw.com. It's Colombo with all those. And colombohurdlaw.com is our website. All of the information will be on there for you. And it's a great resource. We're pretty proud of it. We just launched it a few months ago, our new website. So yeah, great place to go for more information.
We'll make sure that we'll link it in the show notes. Rusten, thank you so much for coming today. It's been really valuable to hear your experience.
Alex, it was a true pleasure talking with you. I appreciate the really great questions that you asked, and it's been great getting to meet you and know you a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you.